Ever found yourself in a pickle, having to prepare a meal you barely knew how to make? Well, that's exactly the situation our friend Charlie Brown found himself in one fine day. You see, Peppermint Patty, a character as vivid as her name, decided to drop in at Charlie's place for Thanksgiving dinner. And she didn't come alone. She brought along most of her merry band of friends. Oh, the audacity! But here's the twist. Our poor Charlie Brown, bless his heart, could hardly whip up a decent toast, let alone a full-blown Thanksgiving feast. His culinary skills were limited to, well, cold cereal. The thought of hosting a dinner for Peppermint Patty and her friends sent shivers down his spine. Yet, the invitation was out there, hovering in the air like a challenge. Imagine the pressure on poor Charlie Brown having to host a feast with just the knowledge of making toast and cold cereal. Can you guess what Charlie Brown did next? With a gulp and a heart full of trepidation, Charlie Brown did something quite unexpected. He said yes! Despite his fears, despite the fact that his culinary skills didn't extend beyond toasting bread and pouring cold cereal, he agreed to host the Thanksgiving dinner. You see, Charlie Brown was caught in a rather tricky situation. On one hand, he was thrilled to have his friends over for a celebration. On the other, he was terrified at the prospect of disappointing them with a less than perfect feast. His mind was buzzing with questions. How was he going to pull this off? Could he really prepare a holiday feast that his friends would love? But then he took a deep breath and decided to give it a shot. After all, isn't that what friends do? They stick together through thick and thin, through burnt turkeys and lumpy mashed potatoes. So Charlie Brown took on the challenge, knowing he was stepping into unknown territory. Ever tried to cook something for the first time? Imagine being Charlie Brown, a young boy who's barely made toast and cold cereal, now tasked with preparing a full Thanksgiving feast. Our story continues with Charlie Brown, apron-tied, ready to face his culinary challenge head-on. Charlie Brown's kitchen quickly turned into a battlefield. It was him against the turkey, the stuffing, and the cranberry sauce. Picture, if you will, our young hero staring at a massive, uncooked turkey. It was like David and Goliath, only this time, Goliath was a 15-pound bird, and David, well, he couldn't even boil water. There were mishaps aplenty. The flour for the pie crust ended up more on Charlie than in the mixing bowl. The cranberry sauce was a little more can-shaped than anyone would prefer. And the mashed potatoes? Let's just say they were more lumpy than mashed. But it wasn't all disaster. Amidst the chaos, there were small victories. The green beans were, miraculously, not burnt. The rolls, while slightly misshapen, had a golden brown crust that would make any baker proud. And the pumpkin pie, despite the flour mishap, had a certain rustic charm to it. Charlie Brown was in over his head, but he didn't give up. He was determined to make this a Thanksgiving to remember. Even when the turkey was proving difficult to stuff, and the cranberry sauce wouldn't lose its tin can form, he persevered. He was driven by the thought of his friends gathered around his table, sharing in a meal he made. There were moments of doubt. Moments when Charlie Brown questioned if he could really pull this off. But each time, he pushed through, driven by a mix of stubbornness, panic, and a whole lot of love for his friends. So despite the flying flour, the lumpy potatoes, and the can-shaped cranberry sauce, our young hero pressed on. He was determined to make this feast, not because he was a great cook, but because he was a great friend. Despite the mishaps, Charlie Brown was determined to pull together a memorable meal for his friends. Does the fear of judgment ever hold you back? This is the question that Charlie Brown, our beloved and somewhat nervous host, is grappling with as he presents his meal to his friends. A meal he has prepared with all the grace of a child who can barely make toast and cold cereal. Yet here we are at the moment of truth. As he unveils the dishes, a hush falls over the room. It's not the traditional Thanksgiving spread one might expect. Instead, it's a feast prepared with the utmost sincerity and the meager culinary skills of our young protagonist. Picture this: a tower of buttered toast, a mountain of popcorn, a sea of pretzels, and for dessert, an assortment of jelly beans. The reactions are as varied as the colors of the jelly beans themselves. Surprise registers on some faces, while others are marked with a hint of bemusement. Marcy's eyes widen in astonishment, while Peppermint Patty tries to suppress a giggle. Linus, the ever-faithful friend, shoots Charlie Brown an encouraging smile. A moment of awkward silence stretches out, seeming to last an eternity as Charlie Brown's heart pounds in his chest. Then, as if on cue, Snoopy, the ever-loyal beagle, breaks the tension. He dives headfirst into the popcorn, causing a shower of fluffy white kernels to rain down on the table. Laughter bubbles up, filling the room with a warmth that no traditional Thanksgiving feast could ever match. One by one, the friends begin to dig in, their initial shock fading into curiosity. Even the most skeptical among them can't resist the allure of the buttery toast or the crunch of the popcorn. Words of appreciation start to flow. "This is unique," Lucy ventures, while Schroeder declares the jelly beans to be quite the surprise. Charlie Brown watches as his friends sample his meal, his heart pounding with anticipation. His feast may not be traditional, but it's certainly one that none of his friends will forget anytime soon. And isn't that what Thanksgiving is all about? Creating memories that will last a lifetime, shared with friends who become our chosen family. Do you believe that every cloud has a silver lining? After the meal, Charlie Brown's friends were a chorus of thank yous and smiles. They appreciated the effort he had put into creating a Thanksgiving feast despite his culinary inexperience. Sure, the toast was a little burnt, and the cold cereal was, well, cold, but the sentiment behind it all, that was something to be truly thankful for. Peppermint Patty, who had initially invited herself and the others, was the first to express her gratitude. She thanked Charlie Brown for his kindness and efforts, setting off a domino effect of thanks from the rest of the group. Each friend echoed the sentiment, their words full of warmth and genuine appreciation. In the aftermath of the meal, it was clear that Charlie Brown's friends valued his efforts more than the outcome of the meal. In the end, it wasn't about the feast, but the friends gathered around the table, grateful for each other, and for the effort Charlie Brown put into making this Thanksgiving a memorable one.